We've got a lot of great information. It was really hard to condense it down. We're briefly going to introduce ourselves. We'll talk about the CPE process, a little bit about QB Power Hour, some announcements and updates. And then Hector and I are going to share our reflections from Scaling New Heights 2015. We got some fun stuff to share with you. And then we're going to hear from a special guest. I'm so grateful that he could join us on this webinar today. We're going to hear from Doug Sleeter and what he's got coming up, some great stuff for accounting professionals in the fall. So first of all, my name is Michelle Long, a CPA here in Kansas City, Missouri. I was very thrilled to touch ground and get home at about 2:30 in the morning last night. There were flight delays, so I was just glad I made it. So I'm glad to be here with you today. A little tired, and my throat's a little sore from talking so much at Scaling New Heights. Hector, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Hector Garcia, CPA, QuickBooks consultant and trainer in South Florida and Miami. And I'm also, I also got home at 2 o'clock in the morning. I went to sleep at 2 o'clock in the morning. Funny story, I called Michelle this morning and we said, Michelle, should we just not do this thing today? I mean, one day, it's just a webinar. And now we see over 275 people log in. So you know what? The show must go on.
That's right. We got to keep attending and giving you guys some good content. So the QB Power Hour webinar series, we do it every other Thursday, and the next one will be coming up on June something. No, actually probably July now. So we apologize we didn't get that date updated. We talk about tips, tricks, and advanced insights for both QuickBooks Desktop and QuickBooks Online, and we like to bring in special guests that have great information for you. If you want to send us any feedback, you can go to qbpowerhour.com. You can also access the archives of the recordings of all of our previous webinars where you can watch those at your leisure. The primary sponsors are Hector and I, our businesses. We also sometimes have other vetted sponsors. We go through and we make sure that they kind of meet our criteria in order to bring that information to you. And we are not officially sponsored or associated with Intuit, although we do work closely with them and have them on as guest speakers quite frequently. Hector, you want to talk about the CPE process?
So quite simple. You must attend the webinar live. You must be logged in for at least 50 minutes. We're going to put a CPE password at a random time. You must write that down. And then in another random time towards the end, we're going to ask the polling question. And as long as you get that correctly, our GoToWebinar registers that information, then we get that and we send it to you within 2 or 3 weeks, an email version of a CPE certificate.
Very good. Thank you, Hector. And a couple of announcements I wanted to let you guys be aware of. Sandy Smith-Leva and I do the Ultimate Accounting VCon together. We have a couple of intensive coming up that you might be interested in. In July, we're going to cover value pricing, a whole day getting down and into the details. And then in August, project management. If you want more information on that, please jot down this URL or I will copy and paste it into the chat room for you in just a few minutes. Also, I really need your help on this one. If you guys have not done this yet, please, please, please take a few minutes to complete the 2015 Intuit Average Billing Rate Survey. Now, this year we're asking a lot more questions than just billing rates, and it's going to be some great information that I'm going to be sharing with everybody, but we need more people to complete it. Also, please share that with your clients. We've got questions on there for our clients about, do you work with an accountant? Why or why not? What do you look for when you're choosing accountant? All of those things, and I will be sharing that information with you as well to get more insight into our small business owners. So here's the link for that. Again, I'll put that in the chat room. Love to have you help me with that. And if you could try to get that done in the next week or so, I'm going to be closing this pretty soon. So please take a few minutes to do that, and also ask your small business clients to do that as well. Then what we have upcoming events, we've got the great QuickBooks Connect, SleeterCon, and then Scaling New Heights 2016, and Hector's got some slides and we're going to talk more about that in just a little bit. All three of these are great conferences. If you can attend them all, I encourage it, and we'll talk a little bit more about SleeterCon a little bit later. So Hector, do you want to go ahead and take it over and talk for a little while about some of your takeaways?
Yeah, sure. Let me take over presenter here, and you should be able to see my screen pretty soon, and it should have a trophy there. Did you see the trophy?
Oh my goodness, yes, I see that.
So congratulations to Michelle. I'll be the one clapping here. Michelle won top 10 ProAdvisor of the year by Insightful Accountant, top QuickBooks Trainer Writer Network. So our very own Michelle Long is the top trainer in the country for QuickBooks. So I'm extremely proud. I'm getting teared eye here, because
Oh,
it's
well, thank you, and not to be overlooked, Hector's one of the top 100 pro advisors as well. So he was recognized as well. So I think between the two of us, you got a power team here.
yeah. I was top 11. I was top.
There you go. Yep, you probably were.
So I want to talk about some. So we spent 4 days in an event jam packed on QuickBooks and Intuit information, and Michelle and I were on a mission this time. We said we're going to try to summarize everything we've learned in 4 days into one power hour. So this hour will be extremely powerful. I mean, if there's one that would have content about the current state of the QuickBooks user fan base accountant profession, it's going to be today. So I'm excited about that. So Intuit will continue to support QuickBooks Desktop for customers. They announced that pretty loudly, but this is as long as customers choose the platform. They're seeing a transformational shift, 4 straight quarters in a row. Uh, Extreme growth, new users, more new users. The majority of new users are choosing Online over QuickBooks Desktop. They have over 1 million global subscribers now, and they project that they'll hit the 2 million mark in 2017. That means that from today until 2017, QuickBooks Online will surpass, at some point, will surpass new sales of QuickBooks over QuickBooks Desktop. So you're really starting to see that transformational change. Intuit also announced through the ProAdvisor program a partnership with Receipt Bank. Receipt Bank, it's a very well respected invoice. Receipt management application to take pictures of documents of receipts, and they reach the receipts for you. And as an added benefit to the ProAdvisor program, there is a free account for them and 50% off for your clients that you add on to that. So if you're not a ProAdvisor, you need to become one, and it's free. You become a ProAdvisor for free. So that's a great benefit, and that's for all ProAdvisors, whether it's the paid version for desktop or the free version for online. Intuit is also going to be spending a lot of marketing dollars. You're going to see about the firm of the future, where it's going to basically be a single place where Intuit is going to move. It's going to look for all the earth shaker concepts of moving to the cloud, moving to value pricing, using social media, more mobile workforce. All these things are going to be grouped into this website, including the fabulous Ron Baker and all his great, incredible work he's done on value pricing and helping us understand that. And there's going to be a big contest for accounting firms to start talking about how they are the firm of the future or how they are becoming the firm of the future. So go to the website, check it out. All that stuff will begin early July, but most of the content is ready now. So check it out, firmofthefuture.com. Now, the biggest, most impactful takeaway, I mean, this is a room where there was maybe 1,200 pro advisors. I think there was 1,400 in all but it's probably about 1,200 pro advisors. And this is the one thing that was put on the screen by Dan Wernickoff, one of the VPs. I'm not sure exactly his position, but about what's the current state of the accountant relationship in QuickBooks Online. This stat is humongous. 60% of QuickBooks Online users do not have an accountant attached to their account. Now, that doesn't mean they don't have an accountant. It just means they haven't done it. Now, there could be multiple reasons. One is their accountant doesn't use QuickBooks Online. So there's an opportunity for you to become more relevant. Unfortunately, the accountants that don't use QuickBooks Online will just start becoming irrelevant. This is just the normal progress of the cost of progress, right, to moving to the cloud. So I think that's an absolutely earth-shattering stat, and this means opportunity for anybody that's a QuickBooks Online accountant. Now, Intuit is committed to training. They're going to have more virtual conferences, more local QuickBooks Online certification events, and obviously QuickBooks Connect. For the virtual conferences, check out QuickBooksVCon.com. And for the local QBO certification events, check out IntuitAcademy.com. Michelle and I just got invited to do I'm not sure if we're supposed to say this or not, but I'll shoot first, ask questions later. Michelle and I just got invited to to do the Fort Lauderdale and Tampa QuickBooks Online certification tour. So if you're in Tampa or Fort Lauderdale and you're not QuickBooks Online certified yet, come check us out. This would be the first time that we're together after we founded QB Power Hour. So this would be very, very exciting, right, to see my dear friend Michelle and present with her again. Um, into
And
it,
Hector,
yes.
before you continue on, I just want to re-emphasize what you said about the fact that Intuit said numerous times, QB Desktop is not going away. It is not going anywhere. I see somebody put a question or a comment in here that they're saying it's because Intuit's promoting the advertising and that they say shame on Intuit. It's, the thing that I think we need to realize, Intuit is following the market. This is what the small businesses want. They want an online application. And what was the number, Hector, that small businesses are using 18 applications to run their business?
Right, right.
They're
18, the
the
average 18
small
applications.
businesses, yeah, they're using 18 applications. So it's not Intuit that's pushing the cloud. Intuit is responding to demand from the marketplace. They are a Fortune 500 company, one of the most respected the most respected software company in the industry, and they're responding to the marketplace. That's one of the things I think a lot of accountants and bookkeepers are not acknowledging, is that the people want this. Our small business owners are demanding this, and they're willing to pay for it. They can order a pizza on their phone. They can check the baseball scores on their phone. They're able to do everything on their phone. It's only natural that they want to do their accounting on their phone as well. And I think that's where a lot of us are still in denial about the change in the marketplace. And so I think we really need to accept this change and get on board with it, or you're going to be left behind. I know I did not want to give up Lotus 123. I had to go to Excel. If I were still using 123, I would be in a lot of trouble. So I just wanted to emphasize that, Hector. Sorry
Yeah,
about that.
no, that's good. And somebody else commented, they probably don't have an accountant because Intuit leads them to believe that they don't need accounting help. The program does it. They continue to sell it or do it themselves. I want to answer that. Now, um, the person that's saying this is that person probably doesn't go to the conferences, and unfortunately not everybody has access to the information that we get at these conferences. In these conferences, and in one of my slides is going to talk about that. They're focused on getting the pro advisor, the accountant, the partner, to get more education and to get more connected. They showed us a beta preview. We can show you of something else that they're doing to enhance how fast and how easy people can add their accountant. When they say 60% don't have an accountant to it, that's not Intuit's goal. Intuit's goal is to have 100% with an accountant into it. And why? Because Intuit has grown the product alongside the accountant. The Pro Advisor program is responsible for bringing more business than their own marketing does, because we all know, or everybody knows, that when you trust an accountant, you follow them to the grave. And that's an important piece. And Intuit is investing a lot. If you go to any of these conferences, and I told that person, anybody else who thinks this, if you go, you will start understanding that there's tons of money being poured on helping the consultants be more relevant. So that's all I wanted to say about that. Anyway, Intuit will continue to partner with Woodard Events. That's the event that we just came out of, which is Scaling New Heights, and do it for 2016 as well. And 2016 was really exciting because this is the first time that they do a national conference at this level, and take it international. So this is going to be in the Bahamas, in the incredible property of the Atlantis. I was with my family there a couple of years ago. So you will have the biggest pro advisor Intuit driven event in the world be held outside of the United States. And to me, that is just awesome. And that is a testament that Intuit is moving beyond the US, and really truly moving global. And I'm telling you, I know I am bilingual and I kind of have that advantage, but I just don't have clients in Florida. I have clients in South America. I have clients in Spain. And you know what's cool? To know that you have clients across the globe. to be exposed to multi-currency, be exposed to international trade. And these are some of the real exciting things that are happening as the world gets smaller with technology. We have to start recognizing that we can have clients anywhere. Anyway, the other key takeaway from Intuit is QuickBooks Connect or QB Connect is projected to sell out because of how fast registrations are coming. So, if you want to go to QuickBooks Connect, make sure you register for that right away. And that was also a really, really cool event. And that is an all QuickBooks Online event. I mean, that's all about QuickBooks Online. So if you're still not on the ball with QuickBooks Online and you want to get on it, that's a great event to do. And if you love QuickBooks Online, you're gonna obviously love this event because it's a place for QBO zealots. Anyway, another takeaway from Intuit, or one of basically my takeaway, is their commitment to the cloud platform. It's getting even deeper by growing the retail industry. Partnership with Revel, one of the most respected cloud-based, iPad-based POS systems. Intuit has been working with them for maybe over a year into building a branded product called QuickBooks Online Point of Sale, and it's going to be compatible with QuickBooks Online. It's already compatible with QuickBooks Online, already compatible with QuickBooks Desktop, but it's really geared towards clients that have QuickBooks Online that also want a POS system, because it is more likely that somebody with QuickBooks Online is also going to want an online POS system. And this is all iPad based. So who doesn't love an iPad? I've yet to meet a person who doesn't love an iPad. Anyway, another key takeaway from myself is talking to a lot of pro advisors, and I know I'm almost without a voice because I talk a lot and I listen a lot. And one of the key things I've heard pro advisors say that they need, it's more specific industry education. The top five that I've seen from comments is inventory management. That seems to be one of the top pressing ones. I taught an inventory class that was supposed to cover manufacturing, BOM, multiple units of measure, and there was just so many questions on the basic inventory management that we couldn't even get there. So that's my commitment to you and to QB Power Hour, is to bring inventory content, and I'm developing that as we speak. Construction and contractor accounting, that's another hot topic. So I'm also committed you to building some of that, and on top of that, I'm talking to some of the best trainers in the country about contracting to bring them in as well. Plus nonprofit and in-depth payroll. So this is me, who I'm all about the technical topics. These are the technical topics I'm personally going to be working on and excited to bring to QB Power Hour for the rest of the year. So that's what you can expect from me. The other key takeaways I got from ProAdvisors is there's three areas of managing themselves and their practice that is the hot issue. One is practice management. Is how do I manage new client intake? I was in a QBO expert panel, and there was tons of questions about the correct way to take a client, the correct way to manage a client, the correct way to fire a client. And it's funny, that all those things are not really, don't have a science behind it. So Michelle and I are going to start compiling some best practices on client onboarding, and we're going to start developing some content on engagement, building engagements, and all sorts of things. Now, for marketing their practice, that's another key pressing issue. It's social media and web marketing. It's moving so fast, and only a few are really taking advantage of that. So we're also going to look for experts that know and understand social media and PR, and we're going to bring him as guests to talk about that, and practical in-depth training on how to implement value pricing. So Ron Baker, who's a fantastic speaker, and if you hear him, if you watch his webinars, he drives the point home about how important value pricing is. But people are asking, how do I do it? Tell me step by step. What questions do I ask? What information do I find? How do I present it? So I'm also going to talk to Ron Baker to see what are the type of things that we need to start doing to have a how step by step process for implementing value pricing. So I basically I was in a fact finding mission to find out how can we, Michelle and I, make QB Power Hour better and a standard platform for advanced QuickBooks users, for experienced power users. And these are the areas that we're going to be focusing on the next couple of months. Also, visiting the vendors. I want to talk about six developers that really stood out for me. One is SalesPad. They showed me a beta of something they're developing. They estimated that in November this will come out. They're developing a QBO compatible mobile sales and inventory management platform that will basically completely take away all the worries about the limitations that QuickBooks Online has in terms of inventory. This will now basically be your complete inventory solution, but not just inventory, it's mobile sales. It's people on the field with their cell phones taking sales and moving inventory. The other developer worth mentioning is T-Sheets. T-Sheet has been a past sponsor. A couple months ago, they did a demo. But what's really amazing about them is 1,200 reviews in apps.com, five-star rating, 1,200 five-star rating reviews. And the person next to me, when Matt Rizzo went up on the stage and did the start, the person next to me said, "Wow, they must have a really good app." I didn't tell him anything, but I was thinking, you know what? They probably have a good app. Well, I know they have a good app, but I'm saying it's not that they probably have a good app, it's that they have true commitment to customer service. This is a company that has the corporate culture of satisfying everybody. And it's almost exhausting. Like I can't even picture me as a company deliver the way they deliver customer service as T-Sheets. So I like to bring some of that into QB Power. So I'm going to study them in depth and see what kind of secrets about customer service they have. HubDoc, they're also they did a presentation not too long ago. I was talking to the two nicest guys in the world developed HubDoc, and they don't know it, but they have a disrupting technology. They have this concept of document aggregation where their system is like a robot that just goes behind the scenes and gathers all the documents for you. And for accountants, that's great because one of the major complaints I hear from other accountants is, oh, I have to chase after my client for documents. So they have a really, really cool technology. Method won the hackathon on October of last year on QuickBooks Connect with their donor app. Well, they finally unveiled the donor app a couple weeks ago, and I got to see it, and I got to test it, I got to play with it, and I actually jumped. I had a client straight into it, and it's just awesome. They're solving the problem for donor management, mostly about donor letters and things like that. And Practice Ignition, first of all, I can't believe the CEO is 24 years old. Sorry, a guy that I'm saying how old you are, but it's such a cool app and it solves so many problems. And you're 24. Kudos to you, man. Awesome. In Qbox, I was talking to Chris from Qbox, and there's also a disrupting technology because there were so many pro advisors not understanding how Qbox work, and when a lot of people don't understand it, that's when you know you got something going, right? That's because it's different, it's paradigm shifting. So Qbox has a really interesting disrupting technology, and we're actually bringing Qbox in on July 23rd, so 2 episodes from now, to do a demonstration of that. All right, so I wanted to give you the CPE keyword for today, which is Bellagio in Las Vegas. The CPE keyword for today is Bellagio. And while I have the CPE keyword, Michelle, are there any questions or comments that people have for me?
Yes, actually, there was one that just came up, and you know more about point of sale than I do. Will ProAdvisors, either paid or not, get access to the online POS? And I assume they mean Revel. And I did answer one of the questions that yes, a new certification for that will be available, but I'm not sure the details. Hector, do you know more about
Yeah, so
some
so
of
what
that?
so what's happening now, and it's that, and I'll leave the CP keyword there. This is a very new product, a new concept to the Intuit ecosystem. The Revel, it's called Intuit QuickBooks Online POS powered by Revel. It's currently already channeled through resellers. And between you and I, Michelle, I'm the reseller. So I would tell anybody that kind of wants to dabble and understand more about Revel POS to email me directly. Just email qbpowerhour@gmail.com and email me directly, and I'll find you the information. Right now, the information available to the public is very thin, but I'm a reseller and I have all the information. I have pricing, I have everything, even some of the commissions. Whoops, I think I on let me just back to the CPE keyword. Even a commission structure if you sell it, recommend it to your clients. So for now, any we're gonna bring in. I promise you, we're gonna bring Revel for a demo, but I don't know when. So if you have question now, just send it to me. And Michelle, can you still see the CPE keyword up?
go ahead and change the presenter
There we
because I
go.
had a couple of things that I wanted to share. I know some people have been asking questions about it, so I have some fun stuff to share too. Let me get over here. First of all, those of you that have watched some of the main stage, you might recognize Addie Advisor. Now, if you can't tell, she's the one with the red hair. Addie Advisor always runs up on the stage, and it's so cute because she embarrasses Joe. She hugs on Joe or Luis, and so like Luis Sanchez, who's the director of the ProAdvisor program, he turned so beet red yesterday because she says, well, I love you, Joe and Luis, but in different ways. And Luis just got so red and embarrassed. I've never seen that. But now Luis has been kind of replaced because now she's all hot to trot for Damien from Receipt Bank because he's got an Australian accent. So anyway, that was Addie and I having fun. I actually got the pleasure of meeting John Taffer. If you guys watch Spike TV's Bar Rescue, John Taffer is the guy that comes in and dismantles and rebuilds and rebrands and redoes this bar in like 5 days. And so I got the pleasure of meeting him and getting a book signed and talking with him for a little while, and he was just amazing. And so I wanted to share a few things from him, little learning points and stuff. One of the things that he said is that he always, and when we were in the one-on-one with him, he was talking a lot about the numbers. You have to know the numbers. And he says he comes in that night and he will do a bunch of research, and he knows the sales per square foot, not just at nearby restaurants, but also malls and things like that. And he really has a lot of insight into every single number. And one of the things that he said is that they have to offer food. They have to have the people stay at least 52 minutes because people will drink an average of 2 drinks per hour the first hour they're there, and then 1.5 drinks after that, and then 1.25 each hour after that. So their goal is to get you to stay as long as possible. And so it was just real impressive how well he knows those numbers. And he talked about the challenge of getting our clients or these small business owners to learn the numbers and how challenging that is. And so he does webinars and these different presentations around the country. What he said was, it was great because he said that he does these conferences and he can have full class when it comes to marketing. He has full classes and a lot of attendees on the recipes where they're talking about the different drinks and things. And he says, but I could have the Pope teach an accounting class and they would not come.
No, that was so
he
funny.
has the same, yeah, he has the same struggles we do getting through to the small business owners about the importance of accounting and things like that. So some of the things that he said, we must not talk about numbers with our clients. Don't talk numbers. Their eyes glaze over. Instead, we have to tell the story. We have to ask them, was there something that you wanted to buy for your child in the last month that you weren't able to buy, that you had to tell them no, that you couldn't afford it? What about your wife? Is there something you'd like to get her and you can't afford it? Or a vacation for your family and you can't afford it? Why not? Make it impactful on them that if we don't change this, this is the impact on your family. Or if you will do what I'm telling you, you won't have to tell your child no. But he's saying tell the story so that it really relates to them. For example, one of the things that he says is don't talk about we need to increase your sales 20% over the next 6 months. That's too intimidating and too grand, and we can't really visualize that. But talk to them about, hey, currently we have 1,000 customers coming in. We need to increase 2% each week for the next 10 weeks. So in other words, we only need you to get in 20 new customers per week for the next 10 weeks. And so break it down for them and tell them the story. How can we get 20 new people in this week? Could you call your mom, your sister, your friends, your relatives? You know, who can you contact to get 20 new people in? And so breaking it down, telling the story for them, not talking 20% increase in 6 months. That's not going to resonate with them. And then I know I've had a lot of people say, well, how come he screams and yells at the owners and he goes crazy on them and things like that? And he said he does it for the hugs. He says we must love and care about our clients enough to tell them the brutal, honest truth. And he said that a lot of times we are afraid to do that because it's fear that prevents us from doing it. We're afraid the client will get upset. They might fire us. They may not like it, whatever. But we have to care enough to tell them the brutal, honest truth and to get them to wake up. And he says, a lot of times he's dealing with bars that have like 3 weeks to live or they're going to die. So if they don't get a radical wake up ASAP, it's going to be too late. And he said he does it for the hugs because they all hug him in the end. And I thought what was really great was two of the bar owners from Spirits on Bourbon that was right there in New Orleans. They brought them in and were able to ask them questions and share their results. And yes, they were hugging him. They were happy. And I thought it was just awesome. So I thought that was just really great. So some key insights from him. Then also a couple of other things that I wanted to share with you. Murph, and this, I don't even remember his full name. Murph from Insightful Accountants. He writes blog posts for them all the time and stuff. Murph had a tech session, or a geek session, and a couple of key takeaways that I thought was great, and I wanted to give him credit because it's a great line, is that both Windows and QuickBooks, they lie. Okay, Windows will lie to you because it says QuickBooks is not responding. But that's not always true. Sometimes you just have to wait. And he said instead of ending, killing QuickBooks and possibly doing more harm than good, check the task manager to see if it truly is still working. He also says that QuickBooks lies. If you go in and run a verify and you go look at the QB win log, or if you look at the results, if you look at the results at the end of a verify, it'll say your data has been verified and no mistakes were found. And he says that's lying because it's not always true. You must always check the log. Go look at the log. And those of you that don't know how to see the QB win log, if you hit F2 and F3, that will get you in there where you can go in and open the file to look at that QB win log. And he said, be patient because these things can and do take a very long time. Don't kill it because you can do more harm than good. He said one time he had a file that took 38 hours to complete it. And you have to check that win log because one time he said that somebody had checked the win log and there were 3 problems with encryption on a credit card. And they rebuilt the data without fixing that. And after they rebuilt the data, they had like over 3,000, or no, it was 6,300. They had 6,300 now encryption problems. So check that log before you rebuild, check that log after you rebuild, check the log, check the log, check the log. So I thought he had some good comments for us as well. So Hector, did you have a couple of things you wanted to talk about Ron Baker and the pricing?
Yeah, on his session, he said something that kind of shocked me. He said, well, if your data is already corrupted, and if there's some encryption, and you do a data rebuild, I don't have a slide for that, but if
Oh,
you
that's
do
okay. I was just going to pass
right,
it back to you.
and if you do a data rebuild, it's let me just put it here. If they do a data rebuild, then what's going to happen is the database will go even worse. It will get even more corrupted. And the problem is I was just shocked at that. I was like just looking for answers, and we went through this seminar, and he explained step by step on how to do it. And I said, you know what, we probably got to bring Murph in here. And have him
Yes,
present
we
that
do.
here in QB
Yeah.
Power Hour. So he has very specific steps and kind of things that he wants you to go through in order to fix corrupted data, but it's way too much to cover in like 2 minutes, right? So I'm gonna have to talk to him to see if he wants to come in and walk us through it. It's a very specific process, but bottom line, he said, don't rebuild the data, it will make it worse. And you know what, that shattered my thought process a little bit because I'm so used to rebuilding the data. So I don't have a clear answer in terms of why that is, but that's just basically what I learned from it. I would say that's it. What I'll do is I'm gonna swing over Michelle, and I'm gonna do a demonstration of a new software program that's coming out from Intuit. Okay. So all right. So what we have
Yeah,
here,
this is amazing. This
yeah,
is amazing.
yeah, this is so cool. This is basically a beta version. You can't download this. They showcased it at the show. So if you were at the show and you went to the Intuit booth, you saw it. What this is this is a desktop version of QuickBooks Online. But let me explain exactly how this works. You install the software into your computer, into your Windows computer. And instead of launching QuickBooks through a browser, it's all through a desktop based software. Now, it's still the same QuickBooks Online. and it's still cloud-based. So it still has the same requirements. And but I want to show you some of the really interesting things, because what the desktop software is supposed to solve for is speed. Because people talk about, well, Hector, what's the point of having it in a window by itself when I can do it from my Google Chrome or my Internet Explorer or whatever? Well, the answer is speed. Because when you have something in a desktop software, the desktop software can cache some of this stuff. It can save some of this stuff, and it can increase it. Also, they can overlay on top of that a lot of shortcuts. So, for example, let's say I wanted to jump to my item list. I can go straight here to company, and I can go to products and services. That's one click. I don't have to do any other surfing, and it's all menu based. Or I can hit Alt P. And one of the real cool things about it is it doesn't put it on top of the current window. It creates a new window. So it solves for the multi-window issue that we have to create a new tab. So I really like this because it doesn't interrupt. Let me. I closed this one by mistake. So it doesn't interrupt, something I'll be maybe working on the main window, and then I can switch over to my item list. So this will basically get rid of some of the pop-up issues. It will get rid of some of the caching issues, and it will automatically create this new window. So I thought this was really cool. The other interesting things that this software has is when you hit the drop down here, you can switch customers so quickly. So quickly, I can just go straight from one customer or another straight from up here. The other thing is I can also create favorites. So, for example, if I go to the reports menu and I pull up a profit and loss, and I want to make this a favorite, then I would just go to favorites and then favorite this page, and then now I'll hit save, and now it's part of my favorites. So I want to jump straight to reports. I can do it from here. So again, this is all about, there's no new features in QuickBooks Online. This is the same QuickBooks Online we're all accustomed to. Nothing has changed. The difference is that now we have shortcuts, and we have speed improvements. Also, we can go P&L and balance sheet straight from here from the menu. On the navigation, we can go straight into banking, sales tax, expenses, vendors, and all these have alt something shortcuts, which a lot of these you could do from the browser as well. But I like that now they're here and they're displayed, and you can go straight to the chart of accounts with a single click or with an Alt A, and it doesn't. And when I click on new, it fixes all the window pop-up issues. And again, this is actually just a um, a beta, and this is not available for the public yet, but it will be pretty soon. So this is the stuff that Intuit shared with us. Now, being this the beta and being the first release of it, I can tell you one of the things that I think, and again, this is not speaking on Intuit's behalf, this is pure Hector speculation. You can tweet that, I don't care. But I think this is going to bridge the gap between desktop and online. And if you see where the marketplace is going, like if you see how Revel POS works, and Intuit, I think Intuit's going to learn from Revel POS, is this can potentially provide for an offline mode. And it wouldn't, again, Hector speculation, but if Intuit can figure out how to do offline mode, we can bridge the gap of being able to access our books without being online. And that's going to be great, for people that are worried about, the internet and stuff like that when doing that. So again, that's Hector speculation, but, coming in the pipeline, we're going to have this program. When it goes from beta to full version, we'll demonstrate the entire workflow. I just wanted to be one of the first people to show you that. Hopefully, I'm probably the first, in a public marketplace to do so, and hopefully I don't get in trouble with Intuit. But they tweeted about it and they showed it at the show, so I'm sure they're okay with this.
Yes.
Yeah, Michelle.
And Hector, I couldn't agree with you more that this is bridging the gap between desktop and online, and it's going to be much easier for those clients, because the ones I see struggling with QBO are the ones that are converted from desktop to online. The ones that go new into online, which now the majority of the new users are choosing QuickBooks Online, those people don't seem to have that much trouble. But when they're converting from online to desktop, or desktop to online, that's where they have troubles, and that's where this app is just amazing, and it is bridging the gap. And Intuit announced that it's going to be rolling out to ProAdvisors first, that we're going to get this and we're going to be able to use this for a few weeks. Then it will roll out, I believe, to all the QBOA people, to all the accounting professionals, and then it will roll out to the public eventually. So the first step will be rolling out to the ProAdvisor. So you guys will get it a couple of weeks ahead so that you're able to play with it and get familiar with it and start using it. But it is impressive. And you're right, Hector. That's the way things are going, to where you can work on it anywhere and it's all going to be syncing for you. So I just think it was very cool.
Yeah,
And
and
it looks like we are. Go
yeah,
ahead.
we're gonna go ahead and bring Doug Sleeter in. And Doug, are you on the line?
I am here. How are you guys?
Okay, perfect.
Yay!
Doug,
Hey, Doug,
webcam,
can you turn it up a little?
yeah, and webcam
Okay,
optional.
let's
Okay.
see. I'll just
That's
I'll just
better.
speak loud, I guess. How's that?
That's a little better. Thank you.
Okay, great. Great. Well, thanks for having me.
So, Doug, I wanted to ask you a couple of questions. So, the first thing I want to do is I want to take a poll, and I am after going to all these conferences and talking to all these people, I want to take a poll. If you're a QuickBooks consultant, if you're an accountant, if you're a QuickBooks Power user, do you consider yourself a QuickBooks accountant? I'm sorry, I may have misspelled one of those words. Do you consider yourself a technology consultant, or are you sort of a mixture of both? And I don't know if the word accounting technologies exists, but that's kind of how I feel. I go to clients' offices and they say, "Well, are you an accountant?" Or are you a QuickBooks consultant? And I don't want to say both because both sound so lame, right, Doug? Does both sound lame? So
Yeah, this is a great thing for you to take a poll on because we're struggling with the same thing. We believe that there's a whole new section of the profession that has much more to do with consulting in the technology space. So your accounting technologist or technology consultant talks to that as opposed to accountant, which in my view, tends to indicate the old world where we were doing accounting entries and doing financial statements and backward-looking financial statements and tax returns. Whereas most of us in the Cpe ProAdvisor world and the Sleeter Group world, we're really so much more about helping that client automate their business processes. And that's so much about technology. And so, well, it is about accounting, but I was going to say so little about accounting. Relatively, it is a little accounting and a lot of technology.
And Doug, we live in a label-driven society. I think that people like labels so much. Even at these conferences, I believe that people ask the wrong question. People ask me, "How many clients do you have?" And people ask that question like that's a relevant question. Why does it matter if I tell you I have one client, 100 clients, or 1,000 clients? Change that question to how many businesses are you essentially changing and improving with your interactions. That's got to be the question, because it's not about how many clients do you have. I can count every person I talk to that I give an advice ever a client and tally them up and put them into this board of that's how many clients I have. Or I can dig deep and see, which of my clients actually listen to me, which ones we work on a continuous basis, which ones value my work. So what do you think about that question, Doug? About that question in the industry where people ask, how many clients do you have?
Yeah, well, it's a common one. I'm used to being asked that and actually asking it of our members because I think it's a measurement that we have. But you're right. It's those who have lots of clients are probably going less deep with those clients, and that's I think what you're trying to really address here, Hector, is it's not so much about how many you have as it is how deep you go with those that you have. And when you're talking about turning their business into a whole new automated, streamlined machine, that is something you're not going to do for thousands of clients. You're going to do that for a dozen or so, unless you can hire a lot of staff and scale that. So
Now,
yeah, that's a good one. How deep do you go with your clients?
right now, talking about depth. So depth is also an abstract term, right? Right, Michelle. That's just a word, right? So what does depth mean? and we spent 30 minutes talking about conferences. In my opinion, depth is, at least having the working knowledge of what may be out there for them, and the client trusting you to be out there for them. There were so many people I spoke to that said, "Oh, my clients are emailing me and they're getting that auto respond, and they must be so mad that I'm out in a conference." And I say, no. Your client should be proud that their consultant is out there taking one for the team, spending thousands of dollars and their time and their emotional drain that a conference is, to bring that knowledge back to their small business. What do you say to that, Doug?
Yep, I think that's exactly it. It's just get them. I don't know. Well, I've always said to my group, the Sleeter group members, is look, it's a lot like what was his name, Taffer, said. Have the courage to tell your customers, your clients, what they need to know, as opposed to what they're asking for. He's talking about do it for the hugs. And I've called it change leadership, as you're putting there. You're exactly right. That's what leaders do, is they do sometimes the thing that isn't so comfortable, that does seem like it's against the grain or against the conventional wisdom, or maybe even something that they don't want to do. In fact, I'm reading this book called Triggers. I recommend it. Just look it up on Amazon, Triggers. And it's all about how to change adult behavior. And changing adult behavior turns out to be one of the hardest things that we know how to do. We can teach software to do great things. We can automate hundreds of things, but when it comes down to changing human behavior, that's some of the hardest things that we know how to do. Think about losing weight and how many times you resolve to do that, yet somehow we just don't. Or any number of sort of get it together kinds of schemes, and I think of that in the context of consulting with clients. Well, I think you guys know Leslie Shiner.
Oh, yeah.
She's a keynote at our conference often, and she has this great quote. She says, "My clients always ask me, please come and help me, but I only have one condition: don't change anything." So that to me is just perfect. So people don't want to change, but they do want to improve. So how are we going to get there?
And you're totally right, Doug. Sometimes that's where we have to do some tough love, because they're like, I want to keep doing what I've been doing, but I need help, which means what you're doing is not working, but yet you don't want to change. So that's where, yes, sometimes we have to be the tough guy, and we have to, and they're looking for that from us. They're looking to us for that guidance to push them out of their comfort zone, because they know it's not working, because that's why they called us. And that's where we really fail them and do a disservice if we don't give them that tough love and tell it like it is and push them to make the changes that are needed. It's our job to do that.
So exactly right. Go ahead, Doug. Go ahead.
Yeah, except for the misspelling on comfort.
Yeah, I got it. I got it.
A perfect lead-in, you guys, to our conference theme is crushing your comfort zone. Both as people who are in the practice of helping clients, but also of building their own firm, and we all have to crush our comfort zones. And so that's what I kind of set out this year for the SleeterCon conference content, to really be focused on crushing our comfort zones. Let's not just do what we've always done. Let's not just focus on one product. Let's focus on a lot of products. The analogy I use, let's look up from the desk. We're really busy. We're looking down at the desk. Let's look up, look around, and make sure that what we're using to do our job is in fact the best tool for the job, as opposed to the only tool we happen to know. And that's for us individually, but as our clients too. I mean, we gotta really crush their comfort zone and sort of give them that confidence that we can lead them to a better success. What I was going to do is comment a little bit on what you'd said earlier. So I'm developing this presentation I'm going to give in a couple weeks called Hybrid Technologies, and how hybrid really, we keep arguing about cloud, desktop, where I really think it's going, at least for the next at least 5 years, is hybrid. And hybrid is exactly what you just showed with that demo, Hector. So what we're talking about is getting the best of both worlds. What's wrong with the desktop? Well, the desktop is one, has, it's high cost because you have to have the local hardware and the data and the backup and the IT support. It's not all that convenient from remote access. It's risky data loss because all the data is local on our hard drive. Security is not so good. It's just not efficient. That's what's wrong with the desktop in the old world. But there's also some things wrong with the cloud when you just think cloud only, pure SaaS software. That's costly. It's actually more costly for those who already have bought their desktops. The user interface challenges on the web are difficult, and you just demonstrated, like with the multi-windows and the menu drop-downs and the keyboard shortcuts, you just demonstrated how the desktop is superior on the human interface side. And speed is another thing you mentioned, Hector. The desktop is so much more responsive to the user's input that makes the cloud less good if we're going to go comparing apples to apples. And so this hybrid thing is exactly this middle ground that allows us to have the speed and convenience and optimization at the desktop while having the data in the cloud. So we've got the anytime, anywhere component. We've got all the benefits of what we've seeked from getting to the cloud. So I think this is big, and I think it's going to really deliver QBO, if you will, if you're going to call it that, to the people who are resisting and wanting to stick with the desktop.
Right. I have another question for you, Doug. So now that we have three major conferences and all growing at incredible speeds, I mean, Sleeter has grown incredibly big, and what was it, 11 years or 12 years, Doug? Is that what it was? 11 years, 12 years? How long you been doing Sleeter conference for?
Oh, this will be our 11th conference.
11th conference.
Our 12th, I'm sorry, our 12th conference. Last year was the 11th, yeah.
Exactly, and every year it gets bigger, it gets better, and the same for Scaling New Heights, the same for QuickBooks Connect. But talk to us about your conference, about SleeterCon, what's all about, and what's new and exciting happening with it.
Well, sure. So, yeah, it is 12 years now. We've been building it every year to try to deliver what I consider to be the independent view of what those in the practice need to learn in order to get better at what they do. So we are aiming at the professionals, the accounting firms from large to the tiniest, the consultants just out of their house, even the bookkeepers who are really just still kind of going client to client. That's the audience. Most of our people are CPAs, but there's a whole bunch that are not. What we serve up is, if you go to sleetercon.com, yeah, that's right there, you can see kind of the content that we posted. This year, I really well, last year's content was so good. The ratings we got were the highest ever. So I wanted to change, but not change too much, to get to where I think the audience wants us to be. So we've got I break it into tracks, and those tracks are really just high-level descriptions of what we're going to teach, and then within the tracks there's a lot of sessions. You can go to any session anytime. You can go back and forth. We do have a pre-con day on November 16th. That's a Monday. And the pre-con will include, so there'll be some QBO certification courses, there'll be some Sage 1 accounting certification, there'll be some Xero certification training, there'll be vision and strategy workshop for building your firm. These are deep dive pre-con sessions. There'll be expert advisor certification for Live Plan, which is the business planning. I don't know if all of them are posted. You can kind of go to, if you go to the agenda drop down there, you can kind of get to tracks and sessions. That's the best thing to look at now.
Right.
We're posting these more every day right now.
Right.
We're just about to add to that pre-con an e-commerce pre-con. So we think e-commerce is big, and everyone needs to kind of have at least a high-level view with some good detail behind it, I guess, of what to do for those clients who need to get a web store. Anyway, so in the main conference, we're really focusing on, again, technology. That's that first, so that embrace opportunity through technology disruption, that track 100 there at the bottom of your screen.
Yep. Whoops, sorry, I closed it.
On that, but
I closed it. Yeah.
So, Hector, can we go ahead and launch the poll question for those that need that? And then, Doug, I do have a comment. One of the things that I have really loved about SleeterCon over the years was I have never been a techie. And this has allowed me, when I go to these things, to learn more every year. So my first year or so, I was taking some of the basic courses, learning more about some of the tech stuff and how things integrated and different, learning the lingo and the lay of the land. And it was very overwhelming because I learned how much I didn't know. And I was like, oh my gosh, I got a lot to learn. But I just focused on a few things each year. And that's the thing that I think is so great, is because there is so many opportunities depending on what you're interested in. Do you have a lot of clients with e-commerce? Is that something you need to learn more about? You can really get into these different areas, and that's one reason why I think every year it's so beneficial if you can go, that you should go, because you should keep adding a few new things to your toolbox, if you will, every single year. It has helped me tremendously in that respect over the years.
Yeah, well, thanks, Michelle. And I want to make sure that everybody understands it's not just about technology, because that you just kill yourself if you think all tech. What we also have a lot of is this change leadership. There's a whole track on it. Of the Zen of Consulting, for example, is a session we've got with Ed Kless. He and I have kind of designed this, like, how do you really approach the art of consulting, and what's the Zen of that? Or value pricing discussion session, or how to hire the right people, how to mentor your staff, innovative leadership in small firms. That's some of in the business development area, some of the sessions we're going to have. Or branding yourself. Brand you is one of the topics. How to be a leader and boost your career. The power of building relationships, succession planning. Gary Boomer, many of you may have heard of him, but he is absolutely the bomb when it comes to understanding how to coach firms to success. And now his experiences in the larger firm world, but he and I very much in sync with how we're kind of doing our businesses and bringing vendors and technologies to firms. But his topic is on succession planning. He's up in his 60s, and his son is in his 30s, and he's figured out a way to do his own succession plan within his own company. And his son, Jim Boomer, now is top 100 accounting today, and thought leader in Cpe Practice Advisor, and writes everywhere. And so what he's figured out is what many of us need to figure out, is how do you take what you've got today and turn it over to the next generation. We all have to deal with that. We're getting close to out of time, so
that's it.
I guess I'll let you guys lead me on where to go here.
Exactly. Thank you, Doug.
Yeah, what I was going to suggest is that we go ahead and say thank you to everybody that was able to join us today. If you have to jump off right now, I appreciate you guys joining us today. Hope we'll see you in a couple of weeks from now. Doug, can you stay for a couple more minutes?
Yeah, I have a deal that I can tell you if people want to register for the conference. I just got a special Michelle and Hector deal, if you want to just put it up there.
We love a deal. Let us hear it.
What is it?
So yeah, it's called Power of 15. Just put Power 15 as the discount code for an additional $50 off. So I didn't want to get away without letting you guys know. The current price for the early bird for just regular price is $800, but you can take another $50 off of that with the Power 15. Register before June 30th.
And Doug, can I put you in a tough spot? Can I put you in a tough spot? Are you bringing Michelle and I to speak in your conference?
And I am so glad you guys have accepted my offer to bring QB Power Hour live to our conference. I think it's going to be so cool. So you'll do this very thing with whatever the topics are in November that you guys want to talk about. I think it'll be just wonderful.
I think that's going to be great, and I hope we see a lot of you there with us for a live QB Power Hour, so you guys can actually kind of watch what Hector and I do kind of behind the scenes. So that'll be great, and thank you, Doug, for asking us for that. I think that's going to be great.
Yes, thanks a lot, you guys.
Okay, bye, Doug.
All right, well, thank you, everybody. Also, one last comment that I wanted to make. I got several videos from the conference where I interviewed some different people who had attended the conference and what their takeaways were and things like that. I'm going to be posting those on the QB Power Hour Facebook page. So if you'll join us in that group, I mean, it's a group, the Facebook group, QB Power Hour. Join us there, and I'll post some of those videos. Love to let you guys see what some of your fellow Power Hour attendees had to say yesterday at the end of Scaling New Heights. Hope to see you guys all at SleeterCon coming up in Vegas, which, by the way, Doug, I have to pass this on. A couple of people said, please have it somewhere other than Vegas. Actually, a lot of the East Coast people want it on the other side.
Yes, we do hear that. So here's the deal. Vegas works, and it's cheap to fly to, and so everything about Vegas is good for doing a conference. But I hear you all. I'm not that much of a fan of it either. I'd love to come to someplace either more central or east. So stay tuned, because as many of you have heard, the Sleeter Group is now owned by a company called Diversified Communications. They have events all over the world. So I'm still very involved with the company, but now I'm a consultant, and so I get to help them think about how to actually grow this thing even larger.
And that's so great. Congratulations again on that, Doug. I think that's awesome. And we really appreciate you joining us today. I know it's always tough for you because you've got such a busy schedule, but I appreciate you making time for us to come on today. Hector, any last words?
Yeah, thank you, Doug. And I know you have to go because you have another thing. So we'll have you back again at some point in the future. We'll talk about some interesting concept about I like crushing your comfort zone. I love that topic. So we're gonna talk to you about coming back and discussing that in detail. For the next upcoming webinars, we haven't come up with a topic yet. Michelle and I are still a little bit sleep deprived, so we're gonna put together the next one. I heard people want one tech, one non-tech. So next one's going to be a tech topic. It's either going to be inventory, nonprofit, or construction. These are the top requests I get. So I'm going to put some together in this. And then on the 23rd of July, we're going to talk about, we're going to bring two special guests, QBox and MyQuickCloud. And these are technology disruptors, bringing in just a different outlook on how to work with your client remotely, or how to work with your client without you physically being there. So we'll talk about those. And then, like Michelle said, please join the Facebook group. Let me just join the Facebook group. The link is down there. Just search QB Power Hour on Facebook. Watch our videos in YouTube. And then until 2 Thursdays from now. Michelle?
Awesome. Thank you, Hector. Thank you, Doug. Thanks, everybody, for attending, and we'll see you next time.